this really does feel like you're kind of hollowed out. This is gonna sound potentially bad, but it feels like I'm a shell of a person. But I'm full of life, like the body's full of life. Like it's undeniable that everything is life. So if, elements of the character emerge, it's all fine. Anything that emerges is, in a way, really fine. Because it's not really me. So you're really empty. You're empty of all of the ways of trying to manage and control and appear a certain way. But I guess that could be easily misinterpreted by the identity, and you can attempt to not care about the body, about how the body functions, the tendencies of that body. But it didn't seem like that was how it unfolded here. Maybe maybe seeing it for what it is over and over can, I don't know, create this energetic shift. But and maybe that played a part here as well. But now that I think about it, and I think about the so-called integration, where all of these parts that were understandably just hidden away, they need to come up to integrate, to merge, to be really fully seen, and certain things need to be felt through and processed, and then they just die, they disappear. And there was no projection of how long this would take. I had no idea. It was just clear and clear that I don't know. I can't say anything for sure. And it felt like when I was on the spiritual path, not to bash the spiritual path, because I could have done this with a lot of other things, I guess. I could have done it with work or career. I could have done it with, I don't know, anything. Building the perfect life. So just for example, on the spiritual path, you have all of these concepts to help you deal with what's happening. And ironically, they never really tell you that they also don't know. Like, they can guess, they can make a pretty good estimation, they can make these general assumptions, But it's like they're taking the position of God, of everything, of life. But it just becomes really, really obvious that life has no words. Life has no description. Life isn't knowable. Life isn't tangible. And I feel like a lot of that was not emphasized. I rarely heard someone say that what they're saying is made up. You would get the odd few, and only when I was ready to hear it and receive it was there a resonance with it. Like, that sounds right. That actually does kind of make sense. How could we know anything? How could we say anything for sure or with certainty? And I'm not saying like you can't express. I guess I'm just saying that within that untangling of seeing that all the concepts are simply just concepts, are simply just mind-made, are simply just playing within the world of here and there, higher, lower, this and that, closer, further, better, worse, good, bad. When more and more of that kind of slips away, you could actually sense sometimes an energetic difference, you know? You can sense more of a free fall, more of the discomfort of uncertainty, the discomfort of unknowing. And then perhaps you kind of get used to it, and you're like, well, maybe this is it too. Maybe it's fine. Maybe I can't change the fact that I feel uncertain. Maybe I'm not doing that. Maybe that's just what's appearing. So it helps to loosen all of these seeming energetic knots. So for some reason, I just want to preface this and say that the spiritual path can have its benefits when you're extremely contracted and you just want some loosening to happen. So the loosening can happen, but you're still within constructs and concepts and you're still confined. But I guess you're confined so that you can open up in a larger confinement, if that makes sense. And you know, you sometimes have a sense of community, which is nice, and a little sense of belonging, a little sense of hope, maybe a lot of sense of hope. But it's so hard to tell when you're in it that that's actually a really massive, it could feel very spacious, but it's a massive container. Because I just remember at the time when I was doing that, it's just so hard to tell when you're really in it, you know? And then when there's more of an opening and a breaking apart of all of these all of these seeming walls that you're attaching to, and they kind of break. Maybe it's kind of painful. Maybe externally your life starts to change because you're no longer internally holding on to that belief or concept or idea. Energetically, it just disappears. And then you see more and more that you were never holding that idea or belief or concept. You are that belief, idea, concept, story. Here, there, time. So it's remarkable. It's unbelievable to I was gonna say feel the release of that, or just be the absence of that. And so that's why I would say that it's a hollowing out. The body's empty. It's really empty. And the shell of the character is just there. But it really does feel like it's not a huge player in life anymore. It's not getting anything. It's not really losing anything. So there is a lightness, you know? If there is really no energy that's wanting to gain or fearing loss, so then you could kind of see how light it is, how purposeless, how pointless, how meaningless, how it's not actually all of those things, but there is this absence of hope, meaning, purpose, because there's no need for it, you know? And of course that's going to be threatening and devastating, and it's gonna feel like you are losing your life. You are potentially losing everything that you've built because you've been living on hope, purpose, meaning, value. The illusory movement in time. So of course it's gonna feel like a loss, or it's going to be painful, going to be confrontational. But to really fully just be here and to know that there's nothing else, to really sense that there's just nothing but the fullness of everything. What I'm talking about. It's just sometimes I do really remember how, because the transition energetically, what happens, it can be harrowing. It can feel like, oh man, what did I sign up for, you know? And it is really the first time you're ever going to go through it. So you're like, is this forever? I guess it is. And then you stop. Sometimes you even just stop caring, and you're just like, okay, whatever. I'll just not be a functional part of society. And then not even worrying about that. And then you're like, oh, okay, I guess this is it. And then, energy comes back, and wanting to do is still there. Like life just wants to move and, I don't know, gravitate toward what feels right for it. So then it seemed to continue, and there wasn't even relief, I don't think. Maybe moments and glimpses, but really it was just the same emptiness, unchanging, unmoving. But then there was a seeming more vibrancy that just revealed itself. It filled the body. So now it's not just an empty body. It's very full of life. It's absolute aliveness. And so is everything else. And it's just obvious it was never separate from anything. And then not you, but then life continues that way. It's everything living.